Hello and welcome to another Hoistland Tiny House video. Today we're just going to pretty much show you how to set up and level your tiny house. As you can see here, I've got our kit that we do for setting up your tiny house. Pretty much you only need some pretty basic tools. Good bottle jack, screw gun, a clamp. I use a clamp, which you'll see a bit later on to help get the screws into the steel at a low RPM. These are our jacks here that we modify with a bolt here, and they just go right on this receiver which goes on your chassis rail, and these are designed to go anywhere along your chassis rail. So it doesn't necessarily only suit our house, it can be suited to other houses, and they're made so you can put them wherever it suits you, whether it's because the ground isn't right there or you've got plumbing or suspension in the way. So yeah, these just pop on the receiver, as I'll show you in a minute, and then we have a series of braces which just help to make the house nice and rigid. We also have a few different options for depending on what your ground is like. So if you're just on the dirt and it's just grass, we have a Teflon plate here which your foot can sit in, and it's a nice solid base for your stabilizer leg to go on, and it won't rot over time. You don't have to worry about termites or anything like that. Another alternative we have, which we highly recommend, is these also come with 2 holes, and you put it on a concrete slab, and we use an anchor bolt to anchor the whole house to the ground. Whereas with the plates on the ground, you drive a pin into a stake into the ground on a 45-degree angle, and that helps pin your house to the ground. So when you are getting your house into position, it's obviously you'll have had your site prepared in some way, but it's good to just keep in mind where all your legs are going to go, and make sure you've got a nice flat area underneath each leg. When you are backing your house in or driving your house in, if you've got more than one axle, be aware that there's potential for torsion to build up in your axles. So when you do take it off the hitch, sometimes the drawbar will want to fling one way or the other. So one thing is good to practice is to leave one of your safety chains on when you're unhooking it from the hitch if you've got the length. Get it up off the ball, that way if it does come off or want to roll away, it's just an extra safety. So once you have the front of your house jacked up off the hitch, it's a good time to put your front 2 legs on. And once you have your front 2 legs on, I recommend getting something like this. This is a 24mm socket, 3/8 drive with a little uni joint on the end and an adapter for your quarter drive, and it just allows you to get access up to that bolt. As you can see here, it's a bit of an angle. And it just helps you quickly get your legs down on the ground and tensioned up. So now we can put both legs at the front, take your bottle jacks to the rear, we lift the whole house up, and then we can level it off. Righto, so now that you have the house up on the legs, all 4 corners, you can put your middle legs in, and as you can see, I've started doing the bracing. Now, an easy way to level your house off is to get yourself a laser level. So you can see I've set one up over on the gravel over here, and I normally just put a stick on here, and you can put it up underneath the chassis rail, go around to each corner and wait for your beep. You can usually pick one of these up from your hardware store, or you can potentially hire them from your local hire place for a day or so. Alternatively, you can use a big spirit level, and it's a little bit trickier doing it this way, but go off the middle of your house, crossways, lengthways. Normally I find the highest point of the house once it's been taken off the hitch, and work off that highest point, level the rest of the house off to that point. So once you've got that done, then you can start screwing off all of your braces. So I use a 500 or a 600 series screw, a nice fine thread with a good self tapper on it. Sometimes you might find it hard to get in there with your screw gun, so to put pressure on it to actually get the self tapper to bite. So a good little trick is to use a clamp like so, which I'll demonstrate here. You can set your clamp up, sometimes up underneath your chassis rail, and it just helps apply a bit of pressure as you screw. You don't need a huge amount of RPM. And send it in. I didn't put any force on it other than squeezing the clamp here. So if you've got a spare clamp like that, that can save you a lot of time and fatigue if you're screwing off a whole house. So these braces go from the bottom of your leg to the side of your chassis rail, and these are 35 by 65 RHS, and they just help support the house lengthways. And then, as you can see at the front, I've started bracing them off widthways with a bit of angle line here, and I'll cross those over, and they'll help the whole house side to side. A good little test once you've leveled your house off is to check your door. So yeah, it's good to check your the level of your house over time too, but you don't want your door to open your door, and you don't want it to slam closed or swing closed too fast. So if it sort of opens up and just sits there nice and still like that, then you've done a reasonably good job. You can also check all your windows, make sure they all open and close. Over time, if you have lots of rain and your ground settles, you might need to adjust your legs and re-level a little bit, but more often than not they'll stay put. And this type of bracing, you definitely feel the difference if you're up in the loft jumping around. This feels nice and solid, and gives it a bit more of a permanent house feel rather than, you know, being in a caravan and wiggling around. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, just chuck them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for the inside tour, which will be coming soon. Thanks for watching.